What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you stopping by today. Today, I want to talk a little bit about free agency and one of our free agents that we've talked about before. I've talked about the possibility of bringing Rigoberto Sanchez back or not, or how we should go about that. And honestly, this is one that I'm kind of up in the air on. And the reason for that is just because specialists, where you're already paying Matt Gay the most money any kicker's ever made. So, in that regard, do you want to go and pay Rigoberto Sanchez a bunch of money when you're already paying one of your specialists, right? And I guess right now would be the ideal time to do so when Anthony Richardson is on his rookie contract. But there are also other holes on the team that need to be filled. So the question here is, what do we do? And this is going to be a conversation about two different free agents, one way or another, paying one of these guys. And obviously, Rigoberto Sanchez is a part of this conversation. The other guy is going to be Tommy Townsend. And the reason Tommy Townsend's coming up in this conversation is because the Chiefs just yesterday signed the punt god, Matt Ariza, who got acquitted from everything. That case that he was in got dismissed. He's good to go. So the Chiefs ended up signing him. The Super Bowl champions are getting the punt god. So with that, the question is, what happens with Tommy Townsend, who's widely regarded as one of the best punters in the game? But the thing that was interesting to me when I went and looked up the numbers behind Tommy Townsend and Rigoberto Sanchez, it was interesting. And obviously, situations are situational, right? And so there are different factors that go into it that we'll talk about. So, what I want to talk about here, getting into the numbers for Tommy Townsend, he's been in the league since 2020. He's had 4 years in the NFL, obviously, all with the Chiefs. And because he's been with the Chiefs, he's had immense success. So with that, like his rookie year, if you look at his yards per punt, okay, we'll look at the net yards in a minute. Yards per punt, 45 his rookie year, 47.2 the next year, 50.4 in 2022, and in 2023, 47.1. Okay, now the most return yards that have ever been given up by the Chiefs with Tommy Townsend as a punter is 207, which was this past year, but it was also the most punts that he had ever had as the punter for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so then you go look and you look at his net yards per punt. In his rookie year, it was 40.4. Next two seasons was 43.8, 45.6, and then this past season was 41.9. So basically 42 right there. And his longest punt, I mean, every season he's just bombing balls. When he needs to bomb a ball, he's bombing balls. Rookie year 67, 2021 68 yards, just like 2023, 68 yards. 2022, he had a punt that was 76 yards. Okay, so when we're just looking at distance and you're looking at how far can they change the field, right? Can they flop the field? And the good thing is that he's punting pretty much 70 yards, and he's still only giving up at the most in an entire season 200 yards. So that's a credit to the entire special teams unit there for the Chiefs, but also Tommy Townsend being able to keep the ball in the air long enough and to be able to put his team in position and be able to kick it directionally enough and get it out of bounds, whatever the case may be. He's limiting return yards enough to be a factor. Being able to flip field like that is vitally important, right? But then you look at touchback and touchback percentage. His rookie year, the touchback percentage was at 11.5. Then every year since, it's been under 10%, right? You're looking at 2021, 8.1, 2022, 7.5, 2023, 8.5%. So overall, like, you can already tell just by all these numbers so far, 2022 for sure his best year. And in that 2022 season, he was rewarded with an All-Pro, first team All-Pro, and a Pro Bowl nod. He hasn't been All-Pro and Pro Bowl the other seasons, but specialists, they only take one. So when you look further into the numbers, one of the most important is kicking inside the 20 and getting that touchback. Like, touchback percentage is a part of that. Well, how many stick inside the 20? And oddly enough, when you look at it, every season he's had 20 punts down inside the 20, except for 2022, where he had 22 inside the 20. Then if you look at the inside the 20 percentage, that's where you get some pretty good numbers. You look at his rookie year, 38.5. 2023 was the worst year inside the 20 at 33.9. Then that all-pro season in 2022 was 41.5%. 2021, he had a crazy year. He only had 37 total punts that season, but he had 20 inside the 20-yard line, which was 54.1%. And that season, he only ended up with 3 touchbacks. So a great job by Tommy Townsend. Again, this is one of the best kickers in the league, one of the best punters in the league, I should say. Somebody that's very effective. But when you put those numbers up against Rigoberto Sanchez, like Rigoberto Sanchez numbers wise, at least in a lot of ways, looks better than Tommy Townsend. Like you go through, he's been in the league since 2017. Obviously, he had the Achilles injury and missed 2022. But you go through his yards per punt 44.8, 46, 44.4, 46.2, 44.5, 48.3. So for him, it's been pretty consistent throughout his entire career in that regard. And then this past year was the most return yards given up, whole new coaching staff. Bubba Ventrone's not around anymore. 370 return yards given up this past season was the most of any season in his career. But even still, when you look at net yards per punt, it was the most net yards per punt he's had in his career at 42.8. His rookie year was at 42.6. Second year, 42.7. Then 41.2, 40 on the dot, 39.7 in 2021. And then again, coming back off the Achilles, he was booming some balls this year and had a 42.8 net yards per punt average for the 2023 season. And when you look at his longest, right, 61, when he was starting from his rookie year, 61, 63, 60, 60. 2021, he had one that went 79 yards. And then this year, this past season, 69 yards was his longest punt. Now, the thing where Rigoberto Sanchez is very good is the amount of touchbacks that he doesn't have. Now, this is where I want to talk about some of the factors that go into these things, right? Like net yards per punt can be affected by where the offense gets and what their field position is and where you're punting from. So you look at his rookie season, he had 84 punts that rookie season, right? They were punting a lot. The offense wasn't very good. He had to bomb some balls, which got his net average to be up. And he also didn't have very many touchbacks. So if you look at it through Rigoberto Sanchez's career so far, he's been in the league a few years more, and he has 4 less touchbacks in his career than Tommy Townsend. And when you look at his inside the 20 percentages, starting from his rookie year, it's 33.3, 42.1, 37.3, 42.9, 40.7. In this past season, it was 30.9. And I think if you look just at this last season, it's a pretty good indicator of what's kind of happened throughout his entire career, where the offense for the Colts for many seasons at this point, either they're going down the field and they're able to, get down the field, get a field goal, or they end up getting a touchdown, or they can't move the ball at all. And Rigoberto Sanchez is punting from, the 25-yard line, 35-yard line, somewhere around there on the Colts side of the field, and he's having to bomb balls. So he can't get touchbacks, right? Harder to get touchbacks like that. Also harder to keep balls inside the 20. So there are different factors that go into this. And I'm not enough of a savant on the punting game to really know the big differences in what makes this punter so much better than this punter and why a team would rather pay a guy like this and not a guy like this. But just judging from the numbers, judging from what I've seen from Tommy Townsend, Rigoberto Sanchez, kind of what I've come up with in this situation is that Tommy Townsend, with the success that the Chiefs have had, and with the fact that he was an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler at one point, he's still very young, right? Only been in the league for 4 years. So Tommy Townsend is a guy that's going to want and is probably going to get a lot of money. He's going to get a big contract for a punter, right? Millions of dollars is a lot of money. I don't want to take anything away from it. Punters, in terms of people getting paid in the NFL, are near the bottom, right? Kind of with long snappers. So it feels like Tommy Townsend's going to get the bag. And then the question becomes like, would the Colts want to pair the biggest kicker contract in NFL history with Matt Gay and then give Tommy Townsend a huge contract for a punter and have kind of an all-star cast as specialists? And I think it's crucial, right? This is football is 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. And special teams gets forgotten a lot. But if you look at teams in the playoffs year after year, a lot of times you end up with teams that have really good specialists. The Chiefs have had Tommy Townsend. They've also had Harrison Butker, two really good at their position guys. And having good specialists is key, man. You got to have those guys that can come in a couple of times a game, right? They're only on the field a couple of times. They have to be able to come in and be consistent every time they touch the field. Tommy Townsend has shown the ability to do that. Rigoberto Sanchez also is able to do that. And the question becomes, right, do you want Rigoberto Sanchez, who at the age that he's had with the injury history that he had, like there is certainly a chance that Rigoberto Sanchez is going to be a little bit cheaper than Tommy Townsend. I would expect Roberto Sanchez to be a little bit cheaper. So coming off of that, then it would make sense. I feel like maybe the Colts, with the situation that they're in, maybe they're going to be more comfortable giving Roberto Sanchez a contract. But again, having Tommy Townsend would kind of ensure the fact that the Colts are going to be solid on those specialists for a little while. So it's a big move to make, right? This is going to be a big move, even though the contract in terms of the percentage of the cap number that it takes up is not going to be, massive like some other guys. Getting another specialist making a big contract, this is going to have a massive impact on what the Colts are able to do in free agency, right? When teams are going through year after year trying to figure out where they can save some dollars, like there's an avenue where maybe neither of these guys gets paid by the Colts, and the Colts end up drafting a punter and trying to draft a guy like, I believe the Iowa punter's coming out this year, and he is really good. Maybe the Colts try to go draft him. That's an avenue they could go, and that's something that I might look into. But if we're talking about would you rather have Tommy Townsend or Rigoberto Sanchez, like for my money, I think I would rather have Rigoberto Sanchez, a guy that's been here, a guy that we have familiarity with, guy that we've been through some stuff with, right? He got cancer, battled through cancer in Indy, was able to come back from it. The Achilles, he came back from it. He did really well last year. Now, it wasn't perfect. He outkicked his coverage a few times. That also kind of bounces back on the rest of the special teams unit. Need to get better. There was a lot of new guys on the special teams unit in the first year of the new coaching staff. Also, new coaching staff. It's not Bubba Ventrone anymore. Trying to get used to a new special teams staff, new special teams unit. So even though Tommy Townsend's really good and he's younger, like specialists, you don't really have to worry about age as much. I feel like, right, where Rigoberto Sanchez should be good to go for a long time. So, again, for my money, I think I would rather have Rigoberto Sanchez for the simple fact that it'll save a few dollars, right? Tommy Townsend, really good. If we ended up paying Tommy Townsend, I'd be fine with that. And honestly, like if Pat McAfee is endorsing a guy like Rigoberto Sanchez, then I'm about it, right? He's always been a fan of him. Yes, Pat McAfee might be a little bit of bias because he's played for the Colts. He's a Colts fan. But either way, Rigoberto Sanchez is a guy that I think should be back in the building. Hopefully, we end up paying it. If we don't, then again, the Iowa punter might be a choice in the draft. That's something that I'll start to look into more. It's not really something that I thought about up until I started thinking about all this, right? When I saw that Matt Araiza got signed by the Chiefs, this whole conversation came up, and then I started thinking more about who we might draft at punter. So that's something I'll look into. If there's any other options at punter, you go ahead and let me know down in the comments section, and I'll start to look into everything and have videos about whatever. So again, let me know down in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you get notified when any of those videos come out or any other videos. We're in franchise tag time right now. Free agency and combine is coming up. Then the draft. We're going to have content every single day, so make sure you're subscribed with those notifications on. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.